India is the second most populated nation in the world, at 1.4 billion inhabitants, and it is set to pass China in just a few years. In this series, we are taking a look at the remarkable development that has taken place in India in the last few decades, and why the massive nation might be the next powerhouse in the global economy. If you missed part 1 of this series, we have already covered the north, northeast and central parts of India. You can find the link to that video in the description below. Now, we will continue with the western region. The western region is made up of 3 states and 1 union territory. Starting from the north, Gujarat borders Pakistan to the northwest and the Arabian Sea to the west. It is a populous area with 71 million inhabitants. The capital, Nagar, is by Indian definitions a small city that was planned and built after independence. Being the birthplace of Mahatma Gandhi, the city is strategically placed on a trade route between the megacities Delhi and Mumbai. Hinduism dominates ahead of Islam, and Gujarati is the first language for 85% of the population. Gujarat has a well-developed industry, is rich in several natural resources, and the large cities of Surat and Ahmedabad helps bring the GDP per capita higher than the national average. Formerly 2 separate union territories, in 2019 Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Nicobar merged to form a larger area, if so with a slightly clumsy name. All former Portuguese colonies, it is one of the smaller subdivisions of India, with just over 500,000 inhabitants. Hinduism dominates in both areas, and large languages are Gujarati, Hindi and Bili. Further down the Arabian Sea coastline, Maharashtra is the second most populated state in all of India, with its 126 million inhabitants. The state is home to several large cities, including India's largest metropolitan area, Mumbai. The state has a well-developed economy that contributes significantly to the national revenues. Mumbai is in many ways India's financial and commercial capital, and economic revenue from the state has sharply risen in the last few decades. Jobs in manufacturing is a big share of the labor market, including a successful textile industry. But it is IT, banking, retail and entertainment that has increased the most in value. Mumbai is home to the famous Indian film industry, Bollywood. Agriculture in the state is helped by the fairly flat landscape, but a limit to natural irrigation hinders it from having the highest yields in the nation. 80% of the population identifies as Hindus and 11% as Muslim. Marathi is the most common first language for 70% of the population. And the last of the western states is geographically small Goa, just south along the coast from Maharashtra. 1.5 million people live in the state that has seen some of the highest GDP per capita in the nation. Goa was a Portuguese colony up until the 1960s. Tourism is driving the local economy. Konkani is the most common first language, and Hinduism is most common at 66% of the population, ahead of Christianity at 25%. Moving back to the eastern parts, we have West Bengal, connecting the northeastern states to the rest of India through the narrow Siliguri corridor, bordering Bangladesh, Nepal and Bhutan, and reaches the coast of the Bay of Bengal to the south. This is one of 4 Indian states with over 100 million inhabitants, at 102 million. The state is rich in several minerals like coal, has a well-developed manufacturing industry and a large tea production. Bengali is the dominating language here, and Hinduism is followed by 70% of the population, ahead of Islam at 27%. Bordering Nepal to the north, Bihar has a population of 131 million inhabitants and ties together the densely populated states of Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. Bihar has seen one of the highest population growth of any states and has one of the youngest populations. Like many of its surrounding states, the human development in this region has lagged behind states further north and further south. Hinduism is followed by 82% of the population and Islam by 16%. Hindi, Bhojpuri, Maithili, Magai, and Urdu are all common languages spoken in Bihar state. A large share of the population is working in agriculture. South of Bihar we find Jharkhand, that with its 40 million inhabitants almost seems sparsely populated compared to the states surrounding it. The state is rich in mineral resources but still has a sizable share of its population below the poverty line. The mineral extraction industries of iron, coal, copper and more, alongside agriculture, account for a good share of the economic revenue of Jharkhand. Hinduism dominates ahead of Islam, and the pie chart of languages spoken is a color explosion, with Korta and Hindi accounting for the largest shares at around 20% each. And the final of the 4 states in the eastern region is Odisha. With a long coastline along the Bay of Bengal, the state is home to 47 million inhabitants. The population density is lowered by the mountainous landscape in 3/4 of the area. Like its northern neighbor Jharkhand, Odisha has great mineral resources, but despite that, it still lags behind many other states in development. Hinduism is the dominating religion, and Odia is spoken as the first language by over 80% of the population. And we will finish in the south, and the 5 states and 3 union territories in this region. The last state without any coastline is Telangana, centrally located in the southern parts of India, home to 38 million inhabitants, with a large share of the population in its capital city of Hyderabad. The city has emerged as a hub for pharmaceutical and biotechnological industries of India, in addition to an emerging IT sector. Telugu is the dominating language ahead of Urdu, and 85% of the population follows Hinduism, followed by Islam at 12%. With a long coastline towards the Bay of Bengal, Andhra Pradesh follows a large swath of the eastern coast. 54 million people live in this state, in its varied topography, with a hilly interior and more arid coastal area. Telugu is the dominating language here, and most of the population are Hindus. Rice is the largest stable crop here, but the state is an exporter of many crops and vegetables. Fishing is also prevalent, not the least for shrimp. Like in most of the states in this region, we also see emerging IT and biotechnological sectors. Over at the west coast, Karnataka has a population of 70 million over its varying topography. Large parts of the state are well suited for high agricultural yields, and the main crops are rice, ragi and jowar. 84% of the population are Hindus and 12% Muslim. Kannada is the dominating language, followed by Urdu and Telugu. Karnataka has seen fast economic growth in the last decade and has emerging industries in many sectors, not the least in the massive city of Bangalore. The eastern side of the southern tip of India is home to the state of Tamil Nadu, with the large city of Chennai as its capital. 84 million people live here in the state, with maritime borders with Sri Lanka through the Palk Strait and the Gulf of Mannar. The region has a highly successful economy, among the largest of the Indian states, including both manufacturing and high-tech industries. The state is by Indian standards well urbanized and industrialized, and see many tourists every year. Hinduism dominates, and Tamil is the main language. And the last of the states is located on the western side of the southern tip of India, Kerala. With 34 million inhabitants, it does well in close to all development indexes, and has seen major economic growth in the last few decades. This part of India has a stable temperature year-round, but does still see heavy monsoon rains in June, July and August. The state of Kerala has seen both internal migration for higher paying jobs than in the rest of India, but also migration away from the state, mainly to the Persian Gulf. A diaspora of Indians who send money home through remittances. The service sector here accounts for 65% of the state's revenue, but manufacturing and heavy industry is also contributing to the economy. The state was a pioneer in the investments in the IT sector. Malayalam is the dominating language here, but the region is split with 54% Hindus, 26% Muslims and 18% Christians. Moving on to the 3 union territories of southern India, we start with Puducherry, in total home to 1.6 million people. Made up of 4 geographically unconnected territories, all former French colonies. Hinduism dominates and Tamil is the most common language. Fishery and tourism are large sources of revenue. Then we have the archipelago of Lakshadweep, off the coast of Kerala state. Made up of 35 islands, 10 of them inhabited, the territory is home to 66,000 people, making it the smallest of all Indian states and territories, both in size and population. Fishing is the main industry for the majority Muslim population. Malayalam is the most common language. And for the last one, we travel around 1,000 kilometers off the east coast of India to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, located on the border of the Bay of Bengal and the Andaman Sea. Of the 527 islands, 38 is inhabited, and 400,000 people live here. Between 50 and 200 of them are of the Sentinelese population, a to this day uncontacted tribe, protected by the Indian Navy. A variety of languages are spoken in the territory, but Bengali and Tamil are the largest. Hinduism is the dominating religion. We will now visualize the largest cities in India. Using the numbers from 2011, the 53 cities that then had over 1 million inhabitants in its metropolitan area, and using projections from the Indian government and overall average growth rates when needed. We will mark these on the map with one marker for every million inhabitants. We start with Kota, Tiruchirappalli, Chandigarh, Bhilai, Gwalior, Kollam, Raipur, Ranchi, and Jodhpur. And then we reach into the cities above 1.5 million. Here we find Amritsar, Aurangabad, Dhanbad, Allahabad, and Vasai Virar. At 1.6 million we have Asansol, Jabalpur, and Srinagar, and at 1.7 million Jamshedpur. At 1.8 million we had Raikot, Faridabad, Meerut, and Varanasi, and on 1.9 million Madurai and Vijayawada. Passing the 2 million mark, we are now into the top 30 cities, with Ghaziabad being the next one on the list, followed by Nashik, Ludhiana, Kannur, and Tiruvananthapuram. At 2.2 million, Malappuram, Vishakhapatnam, and Agra. At 2.3, Vadodara, and at 2.4, Indore, Thrissur, and Bhopal. Kozhikode is at place 17, with 2.6 million, just below Patna. Koshi takes spot 15, with 2.7, just below Coimbatore. At 2.9 million, Nagpur is at place 13, and Kanpur holds place 12, with 3.2 million. Lucknow is at 3.7 million in place 11, and to make it into the top 10, a population of a metropolitan area of over 4 million is required. Jaipur of Rajasthan is in place 10, and Pune of Maharashtra is in place 9, with 6.8 million. Surat of Gujarat sits at place 8 with 7.5 million, and Chennai of Tamil Nadu at place 7 with 9 million. Passing over 10 million, we have Ahmedabad in Gujarat in place 6 and Hyderabad in Telangana in place 5 with 13 million inhabitants. Bangalore of Karnataka is in place 4 with 14 million. And the top 3 is made up of the massive urban areas of Kolkata in West Bengal in place 3 with 18 million inhabitants. The capital city Delhi in second place with 20 million inhabitants. And in first place, Mumbai of Maharashtra with 23 million inhabitants. So now that we have learned some basic geography and demographics of India, we will continue in the next part in this series to focus on the regional differences in development. You can support my channel by becoming a member. Just press the join button down below. Thank you so much for watching.